no prizes for guessing where I am. For those of you who know the area, South Stack Lighthouse on Angelsey, or Ynys Môn, island off the north coast of Wales, but it's actually not my main objective. So I've walked up past along the road, but I'm actually heading round the coast a bit towards North Stack. So that's South Stack. North Stack's around the coast. It's about a couple of hours till sunset. So I'm going to walk along the coastal path a bit and look for some compositions that hopefully, as the kind of light changes, I get a kind of nice view. And hopefully you could hear the seabirds in the background there. I do love a seabird colony. So off along the coast, beautiful, beautiful day. It's maybe 6:30, 7:15, something like that in the evening, but it's still a warm day, and looking forward to see what I see and see what compositions I can come up with. But you can probably see hardly a cloud in the sky, and looking over towards Snowdonia that way. So anyway, get on with my walk and see what I can come up with. See you soon. I found a composition, but I think I'm a little bit early, so I'm going to come back here, but I'll just show you what I'm thinking. So this path here has the same kind of curve as the bay. So what I'm hoping to do, when the sun's gone a bit lower, because at the moment it's still the light's still a bit harsh, it'd be nice with a bit more golden light. But the path bends and the bay bends, so it'd be quite nice to get that composition where the image leads the path round, or the eye round, following the path round the bay. Hopefully that makes sense. But I've got plenty of time to do that. There's another one just a bit higher up as well, so I might do both. But what I'm going to do is I'll follow the path and head up onto the top and see what I can see from up there. But I think this has caught my eye. And just to say, I think earlier this week, a pod of orca or killer whale was seen just off here. So that'd be nice, wouldn't it, to see them? But yeah, so I'm going to carry on up there, see what I can see, and if there's any compositions that way, or in fact looking back towards South Stack Lighthouse. But I'll definitely be back here when the light's a bit more beneficial. Well, no sign of any killer whales yet, but I've come from, so previously when I was speaking to you, I think the previous clip, I was over on the headland up there looking this direction. In fact, I don't know if you can pick up on the GoPro, but there's kind of an aerial sticking up. I was over there, so I've walked along the headland over the top and down here, and I'm looking now towards South Stack back across the bay. So the sun still, I won't point you at the sun too much, but I think we're still about, let me just check the time, yeah, about 2 hours still from sunset. So what I'm doing, sun's off quite nice. Sorry, I just saw a boat out of the corner of my eye, and for a second I thought, oh, killer whale, but it's just a boat. The sun's off a bit more than 90 degrees to my right, so it's illuminating this headland quite nicely, and you can see, you know, it's cliffs, it's kind of jagged, it catches the light nicely, and there's a nice curve which leads then round to South Stack Lighthouse, which just flashed at me. So I'll show you the composition. So what I'm hoping is you start down and you've got this sweep coming around, which ends with the lighthouse there. I'll just get the exposure right. So I'm on f16, and that's giving me an exposure about the 25th of a second. I'll take that, but I might go a little bit brighter, just a nudge brighter, because kind of my perception was, so I've got a polarizer in to darken the blue in the sky, but my perception was it was a bit dark. The other thing I should say, sorry, sun's shining in your eyes, is because this image is about leading a line round to an end point, which is the lighthouse. It's absolutely imperative that the lighthouse is in focus. So you could get away a little bit with some of the headland being a little bit out of focus, but if your image takes you round to a focal point like a lighthouse, it's absolutely got to be spot on. If it's not spot on, the image is ruined. So check, double check, triple check that it's in focus. In the previous video, I mentioned about using live view to zoom in to check it's in focus, because if you blow that image up, you know, to a reasonable size, people's eyes drawn to the lighthouse and they'll immediately go, it's not in focus. So make sure it's in focus. But it's an absolute glorious, stunning day. Hopefully you can hear all those birds down on the, there's a little outcrop there. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take a couple more here, and then I'm just going to wander down to the headland a little bit. I've got 2 hours until sun's down, but I want to be over back where I was earlier, maybe 45 minutes, half an hour before sunset, because of the hopefully get a nice light. So I'll do some stuff over here and then I'll head back. Boy, it's glorious. I've not seen any snakes here. There's quite a lot of snakes apparently on. I've seen them in other parts of Angelsey, but I've not seen any here. But keep an eye out. That was quite a hike. So I got right down to. There's a house and some buildings right on the end of North Stack. Well, actually, I think that mound of rock is North Stack, but right at the end there's a couple of white buildings. I got down there. I tell you what, it's quite a hike back up. But anyway, so I'm back to where I was. Well, it's about an hour and a half ago for me, but it's a couple of minutes for you. With this path bending the same way as the bay is bending, so I'm set up an image. But I just wanted to say, you hear people talk about the golden hour. Well, it's almost exactly an hour until sunset, and this is why it's called the golden hour. Look at the light. Hopefully the GoPro does it justice, but the light on particularly on the cliffs there, is absolutely golden. It's just fantastic. So here we go. Got my composition. Here's the path down here, and it mirrors the hopefully the landscape. But what I'm doing, I'm taking a reading just off the cliff edge there, but then I'm going to do, because the path disappears in that exposure, you can see there's nothing there, so I need to take an image with the path in so that I can then use that to put the path in. Otherwise, I'll show you, if I go back and take the exposure off the cliff and go for the correct exposure, you can barely see the path. So it's just an insurance. I might be able to do that, bring it back out in Lightroom, but it just as an insurance, just in case. Taking an image with the path exposed correctly, just in case. I might be, as I say, in Lightroom, I might be able to just bring the shadows up a little bit and it appears, or maybe just use the brush tool to highlight the path. But just in case, there's an assurance image. It's absolutely stunning. I tell you, are we ever happy? Are we ever happy? It would be brilliant if the heather was in bloom. So, another thing to write in my notebook: come back when the heather's in bloom. But there's barely any wind. The moon is up. The light is fantastic. I'm going to hang around here a little bit. Let's see how long have we got. It might be. Haven't looked at my clock for a while actually. Oh, okay, so it's about 45 minutes until sunset. So I'm going to hang around here a little bit longer, and then when the sun's right on the horizon, I might go and have a look at the lighthouse. But it's going well, going well. Still roasting hot as well. The light doesn't get any better than this. Oh, I'm telling you, it's just spectacular. It's the perfect kind of conditions. No wind, virtually no cloud, really calm sea, sun close to the horizon. So all the conditions are coming together to create that fantastic buttery, creamy, golden light. It's brilliant. You can see from sorry for squinting, but you probably see from my face. It's a wonderful, warm, light, and I've got a great example of how composition works. So I've moved, so I was a little bit just over there. I've moved just because I wanted to get some of this headland in, and while I was setting up, I thought I'd look at some of the kind of compositional factors. So rule of thirds, here's one of my rules of third line, and the bay is exactly on the line. The end of the other bay is almost exactly on the line, so you're getting kind of a third. I've got the horizon is on that rule of thirds. There's some nice rocks in this rule of thirds, so it all comes together nicely to create what I think is a pretty good composition. But you can be the judge of that when I post it. But it's you can hear seabirds calling, still warm, got my t-shirt on, shorts. Does it get any better than this? Oh, and I should have said, kind of this path I've been on is part of the Angelsey coastal path. So there's as the name suggests, there's a path goes all the way around the coast of Angelsey, and you can walk it. In fact, one day I'll walk the Angelsey coastal path. It takes a few days, but I'd love to do it. So it's on my bucket list. So sun is maybe half an hour from going down. So I'm going to hang here a little bit longer, but then the lighthouse is just over that peak, so I'll be able to see the lighthouse when I get to the top of there. So I'm not going to go running, but I'll get up there and see what it looks like in maybe half an hour or so. Might have a drink and just enjoy the scenery. 7 minutes till sunset. It's almost down, and I've come to the classic view of the lighthouse. So those who know the area will know there's kind of a dilapidated shelter thing up there, so I'm just below that, and I'm looking towards the lighthouse, and I've got a portrait composition. So I'm using the rocks here in the foreground. Lighthouse is on my rule of thirds, and I quite like the sky. I've got my polarizer in to kind of darken the blues. The light's shining nicely on the side of the. I might just expose for the sky for that one. So that's quite a dark image in the foreground, but I like the sky. But as the sun's got close to the horizon, there's a bank of cloud, mist, fog. Not sure what you'd call it, but it's giving that kind of. Nobody seems to use these anymore. Nicotine filter effect. So it's kind of that sepia nicotine tone to the image, which goes quite nicely with the blues. So I'm trying to time the image so that the light is shining in this direction. So I'm gonna kind of keep trying, but that's probably it from me for this episode. So I'm gonna try and get one with the light shining, and then head back to the car. And I've got 3 beer cans and 2 plastic bottles to take, because clearly people sit up in that shelter, have a drink, and then chuck it down here. But I hope you enjoyed the trip to North Stack and eventually back to South Stack. I've been here before. You won't have seen me doing anything around North Stack before, so hope you enjoyed the day, and I'll see you next time. See you, bye.